Hi everyone, it's Stephanie Reese back in the Maureen Bradley Design Studios, and I am here to show you how to make an illusion necklace similar to this necklace that I made from the previous Jesse James Beads Ambassador package that I received. This tutorial was a request from Janet Boyer, who is also a Jesse James Beads Ambassador. So first I just wanted to talk about a couple different ways that you can make an illusion necklace. The first one is you can simply crimp next to each, or flat crimp next to each bead on, maybe it's better to show here, you can simply flat crimp it. But what scares me about a flat crimp is that can sometimes have rough edges and maybe snag clothing. So I was thinking that maybe a better way would be to use the fold over crimp, which creates a notch in your crimp bead, and then it allows you to fold it over so that those rough edges aren't sticking out. The second method to create an illusion could be to use the monofilament itself, where you feed the bead on and back through your monofilament, and that creates an illusion. And then you just space your beads out, and no crimps are required on that one because you're tying the bead to the monofilament. Take that out. And then the third one would be to where you are placing the bead on the monofilament and you're securing it in place using glue. There are different glues you can use, but glues can mar. You have to be really careful because glues can cause a change in the bead, or it can ruin the finishes of your beads, especially crystals. So with that being said, my favorite way to make the illusion necklace, and is what I did here, is to use the ball crimper. I use, and it has like a little divot on each side where you put your crimp bead, and you actually close down on it and you move it around, and it actually creates a little tiny bead next to your bead. And that secures it on your monofilament or on any wire. So that's my favorite way is to use the ball crimper. And there's also a smaller ball crimper that uses, I believe, a 1x1. These are for 2x2 crimp beads, which is what we'll be using today, in gold and silver. And then I find that this actually fits most. Sometimes I have to use a bead cap to make the beads, to make the hole smaller, and that it doesn't go over the crimp bead. So this is the, I've got it started a little bit here for you so you don't have to watch 4 hours of me crimping beads, because I think once you get the idea or the way it's done, it moves through, and it does take time. But the supplies we're using today, I'm using the Jesse James Beads Let's Be Mermaids Coral Queen, and I have all the beads laid out here, and I've already started using some. Like I said, I got started. It has some beautiful charms and just a really beautiful package of beads. I love these tails, little mermaid tails. I also am using and paired these Crystal Check Fire Polish AB beads. They're 8mm, and I brought out some silver tiara cast cones, and then I brought out also these carabiner clasps that are so popular right now. So the wires we are using this first one in pink is pink rhodochrosite color in medium soft flex wire. We're using the turquoise color soft flex wire in medium, and the white quartz color soft flex wire. And I also paired this one with the 925 sterling silver extreme flex and the 24 karat gold extreme flex medium wire, all medium wire. And like I said, we're using 2x2 crimps. So the first one I created 2 strands 18 inches long. So your necklace should be various lengths, just like this. I created it in with the pendant length being the longest, the pendant strand, excuse me, being the longest. So you can see how there's several different lengths. So I have 2 strands cut in 18 inches, which is actually 20 inches. I'm sorry, these 2 were 18 inches, which then come closer to 16 inches. And then I have 2 strands that are 20 inches long. And then I have the white one cut, which is the one I'm going to demonstrate to you, is 22 inches. So we have 18 inches, 2 strands of 20 inches, and 1 22-inch strand of wire. So to start, on the first 18-inch strand of wire, I crimped one end with the ball crimper. And from there, I measured in 1-inch increments. So now you'll notice that it is smaller in between the beads, and that's because when I measured here on the 1-inch side, I started at that first marking for 1 inch. So it's actually not a complete 1 inch in between. This is the strand that has the most beads on it, and is the one strand that you'll work all the other strands off of. To create the second strand, I took the second 18-inch strand, I crimped it on the end, excuse me, and I marked it at the end of each ball crimp on this silver strand. And I put them in various lengths in between. So here I've got 2 beads in between before I started the next one, another 2 beads, another 2 beads, another 2 beads. So you're really not measuring the second strand. You're going off the placement of all the beads in the first strand, and you're making them further apart. And this is what creates the illusion of beads floating around in the necklace. And I just kept going to the end. For the third strand, I think it goes like, no, sorry, it goes like this. I centered the turquoise strand on the first 2. Running around. And I moved, so I don't have any beads on this side, so where these 2 are crimped, I marked there. I came down and marked here on this strand, and then I just started marking randomly where to place these. And if you want the beads to be clustered, they can be clustered, or they can be separated apart. You're the designer, you decide where you would like the beads. I also did the same thing on the gold strand. I centered it on those, and I started placing the beads where there was no beads on the turquoise. No measurements on these last 3, you're just placing them. And I'll show you how to mark them in the next segment of this video.